Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For years, Meri Brown was the quiet storm in the Sister Wives saga, a woman torn between deep spiritual loyalty to her plural marriage and the haunting loneliness of being Kody Brown's most emotionally abandoned partner. Fans watched her struggle for validation, cling to hope, and eventually drift into the shadows of her once vibrant family. After decades of being the first wife, the legal wife, and then, after Robyn's arrival, the cast-off ex-wife, many thought Meri had given up on love entirely. But now, in a twist that's equal parts jaw-dropping and heart-melting, Meri Brown has done what no one expected. She's married again. And the identity of her new husband has everyone talking. Not only is he nothing like Kody, he's a figure from Meri's past who once offered friendship during her darkest days, and now returns with a love story so stunning, so poetic, so completely opposite from the polygamous chaos she left behind, that fans are calling it the ultimate revenge glow-up. So who is Meri's mystery man? It's none other than Amos Keller, the quiet, rugged entrepreneur from Utah who first appeared briefly in Meri's life during her bed and breakfast venture in Parowan, a man fans barely noticed back then, but who remained a steadfast friend long after the cameras stopped rolling. At the time, Amos was just a local business consultant helping Meri sort through the legal permits and property requirements for Lizzie's Heritage Inn. But beneath his soft-spoken demeanor and easy grin was a man who saw her, the real Meri. Not the weeping woman edited into Sister Wives montages, not the one perpetually begging for scraps of Kody's affection, but a woman with ambition, resilience, and a story that deserved more than second best. Amos and Meri stayed in contact quietly after their professional partnership ended, exchanging emails and texts occasionally, mostly about business. But when Meri announced her permanent split from Kody and made the emotional decision to step away from plural marriage entirely, it was Amos who sent her a simple message that reignited something long dormant. You were never meant to be anyone's leftover. That message, friends say, hit Meri like lightning. She was ready to reclaim her life, but hadn't imagined romance. Still, she replied. They began talking more regularly. Daily calls turned into weekend visits. Weekend visits turned into road trips, hikes, laughter, late-night confessions. Amos didn't come with emotional baggage, spiritual guilt, or reality show pretenses. He came with honesty, kindness, and, perhaps most shockingly for Meri, undivided attention. Sources close to Meri say the connection was instant, but the decision to open her heart again took time. She had been burned. Publicly. Brutally. The catfishing scandal. The televised therapy sessions. The endless cycles of Kody promising nothing and delivering less. She didn't believe she deserved love, one friend revealed. She had to unlearn decades of emotional neglect before she could even consider that someone like Amos was real. But real he was, and patient. He let Meri heal. He never pushed. And when he finally proposed, on the balcony of Lizzie's Heritage Inn, under a canopy of fairy lights and vintage lace, surrounded by her favorite flowers and the scent of cinnamon rolls wafting from the kitchen, he said, "You don't have to share me. Not ever." The wedding was exactly what Meri always wanted but never got in her first marriage. Intimate, sacred, and centered around her happiness. Held on a golden September afternoon in the hills of Utah, the ceremony was private, with just a few dozen guests, close friends, Amos' family, and notably, Meri's daughter Leon, who stood proudly by her mother's side. Meri wore a vintage-inspired ivory gown with delicate floral embroidery, a far cry from the modest, rushed ceremony she endured in her youth with Kody. This time, her dress was her choice, her vows were her words, and her tears were not from sadness, but from overwhelming, unexpected joy. For the first time in my life, she said during the ceremony, I'm not fighting to be chosen. I am the choice. As the news broke, the reaction was nuclear. Fans flooded social media in disbelief and celebration. Meri married? Trended for hours on X, formerly Twitter. while Reddit forums exploded with speculation, photos, and cheering fans dubbing her Queen Meri and glow-up legend. Even former castmates reached out with mixed responses. Christine, now thriving in her own post-Cody life, reportedly sent Meri flowers and a handwritten note that read, "You deserve this more than anyone." Janelle, more private in her responses, posted a subtle message on Instagram. Sometimes, the real story begins after the storm ends. Wishing peace to all hearts ready to receive it. Robin and Cody, however, remained silent, and their silence spoke volumes. Cody, according to an anonymous source close to the family, was blindsided. Though he had long emotionally abandoned Meri, he never expected her to move on. He assumed she would linger at the edges of his world, part of the legacy, but never the spotlight. He always saw her as loyal by default, the source said. He never thought she'd actually find someone else. That arrogance may have been his final miscalculation. Because not only did Meri find someone else, she found someone better. And as for Amos, fans are already obsessed. Described as a cross between a mountain man and a philosopher, he's rugged but tender, with a love of antique books and woodworking. He's a private man, not chasing cameras, but insiders say he fully supports Meri continuing to share her life on social media and building her brand. In fact, she's already rebranding Lizzie's heritage and to include a boutique gift shop and a Healing After Heartbreak retreat series, co-hosted with Amos, who brings in mindfulness coaches and survival experts to help others navigate emotional trauma. They're a power couple, one local vendor said. They complement each other. You can just feel that they've both been through pain and chose peace instead of bitterness. What's more, Meri isn't hiding this love. She's posted glimpses of their hands intertwined during hikes, blurry sunset kisses, and most recently, a smiling selfie with the caption, "He chose me. I chose joy." That post alone received over 400,000 likes and tens of thousands of comments, many from women who followed Meri's journey from heartbreak to healing and saw her new marriage as a symbol of hope. Because Meri's story isn't just about moving on, it's about choosing herself. After decades of being told she was too emotional, too needy, or not enough, Meri stood tall in a lace dress under the Utah sky and married a man who looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. No more competing for love. No more silent treatment. No more waiting for someone to decide if she was worthy. She is no longer the sad, sidelined wife in a collapsing plural marriage. She's the woman who walked away and walked into the life she was meant for. Meri Brown's second wedding didn't just represent a new chapter. It was the final punctuation mark on a decade-long sentence of public heartbreak, unresolved tension, and emotional invisibility. Her union with Amos Keller wasn't flashy or overly dramatic, unlike the slow-motion implosion of her marriage to Cody Brown that played out over Sister Wives' many seasons. But what Meri's wedding lacked in spectacle, it made up for in authenticity. And now that the dust has settled, one thing is certain. This wasn't just Meri getting married again. This was Meri finally becoming herself. After years of therapy, reflection, and rebuilding, Meri stood before a small crowd of people who actually showed up for her, not because of TV contracts or religious obligations, but because they loved her genuinely in real life. The ceremony took place at a secluded orchard not far from Lizzie's Heritage Inn. String lights danced overhead. A soft folk duo played acoustic versions of Meri's favorite songs. There were no multiple camera setups, no mic'd-up drama, and, refreshingly, no one gaslighting her into silence. "I didn't want a reality show wedding," Meri reportedly told a friend. "I wanted a real wedding. And I got it." The moment she walked down the aisle to Amos, wearing a soft smile and holding a simple bouquet of wildflowers and eucalyptus, everyone in attendance felt the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Meri wasn't just walking toward someone, she was walking away from everything that had once broken her. Gone was the woman who begged for emotional crumbs from Cody. Gone was the wife who waited on couches during rotation nights, only to be ignored. Gone was the Meri who thought loyalty meant self-erasure. And standing there in front of her, Amos. Solid. Calm. Completely devoted. He wore a charcoal gray suit and a pale blue tie, and when he took her hands in his, he said, "You were never too much. They just didn't know how to hold all of you." Meri cried, but for once, her tears weren't from sorrow. They were from relief. "You found me when I didn't even know I was lost," she replied in her vows. "And now I see clearly. I was never meant to shrink to fit someone else's small love. I was meant to expand into real love. And I found that with you." Their first dance? Not a choreographed spectacle, but a barefoot shuffle in the grass to Fleetwood Mac's Landslide, a song that had comforted Meri during her years of quiet suffering. Amos whispered the lyrics into her ear while holding her like she was treasure. And the guests, many of them tearfully clutching tissue, stood in stunned silence, overcome by the rawness of the moment. It wasn't just romantic. It was redemption in motion. And the reaction outside the orchard? Absolute chaos and celebration. Social media exploded again when Meri officially posted the first photo of herself and Amos as husband and wife, a golden hour shot of the two laughing, foreheads pressed together, her caption simple and devastatingly powerful. "I chose peace. He chose me. We chose forever." Fans lost their minds. The post hit 1 million likes in 24 hours. Comments flooded in from longtime viewers, trauma survivors, and women across the world who had seen themselves in Meri, women who stayed too long in loveless marriages, who questioned their worth, who dimmed their light for someone else's comfort. "You give us hope," one woman wrote. Another said, "You're living proof that the second act can be the best one." Former TLC cast members weighed in too. Michael T. and Aspen reposted the photo with heart emojis. Christine did a celebratory Instagram live where she toasted with a mimosa and said, "This is Meri's story now." Finally, even Janelle, though quiet, posted a cryptic quote, "The woman who rises from the ashes isn't the same one who burned." Fans interpreted it as a subtle nod of support. And the Cody camp? Radio silence. Robin, who had previously painted herself as the one who always wanted sisterhood, didn't post. Cody remained notably absent from social media altogether. But insiders say he was furious behind closed doors, not just because Meri moved on, but because she did it better than he ever expected. He thought she'd fade, one source said. Instead, she's glowing. And Meri is glowing. Since the wedding, she's been embracing life at full throttle, traveling with Amos, co-hosting empowerment workshops, and revamping her online presence with a fresh, unapologetic tone. No more cryptic quotes. No more passive-aggressive hints. Now, she's telling her story out loud. In a recent podcast interview, she said, "For years, I waited for someone to choose me. What I didn't realize is that I needed to choose myself first. And once I did, love found me, real love. Not love that demands silence or sacrifice, but love that celebrates who I am." The couple is already planning future projects together, including a joint memoir called After the Dust, building a life from what's left behind, and a potential wellness retreat brand focused on women healing from spiritual and emotional abuse. "It's not just about my story," Meri says. "It's about anyone who ever believed they had to settle. I want women to know there's life after heartbreak. There's love after betrayal." As the dust continues to settle on the wreckage of the Brown family's once glorified plural marriage experiment, Meri's wedding stands as something else entirely. It's not just a happy ending. It's a powerful beginning. One that doesn't ask permission. One that doesn't wait for validation. One that exists entirely outside of Cody Brown's crumbling shadow.